right, here we go. Another edition of the Inside Fitness Podcast. Today we have a special edition out in British Columbia. We're in Port Coquitlam. Where are we exactly?
We're in Port Coquitlam, just a few minutes east of beautiful downtown Vancouver.
Today's guest is Big Jim McMahon from Fit Foods.
Hi, everybody.
How's it going, Jim?
It's going really well. Thanks for coming out here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been in the works for a little while.
More than a little while, I think.
This has been, it's a little while.
Yeah, we just met, apparently.
Yeah. So Jim and I go way back. We go back probably 20 years, close to that, because I used to work at Muscle Mag and back at that time. So let's start off the podcast with who you are and where you come from. Where'd you come from, Jim?
First of all, everybody might want to grab a pillow for this one. I think the best place to start is how I kind of got into all of this. And like a lot of us, I was in my teenage years and I just started lifting weights. It's as simple as I could put it.
Yeah.
I went to university, thought I'd get into kinesiology and things like that. I was always into not just weightlifting and bodybuilding and things like that.
Yeah.
But I was working with other athletes as well. Turned out I wasn't a very good student. And then I ended up injuring my shoulder back when I was 23, getting ready to try to make the World Powerlifting Championships. Didn't make it, suffered a real bad injury. And that's how I got into nutrition and sports nutrition.
Yeah.
And then from there, somehow I got into the industry. I also owned my own shop at one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was a consumer first because I had to rehab the shoulder.
Yeah.
Didn't quite work out. So my collection of third place trophies is as far as I got.
Yeah.
And so I was a consumer first, and then a store owner, store manager for another group. And then I got into the wholesale and the manufacturing side of the industry as well.
Well, there's a lot here. There's a lot of things.
There's a lot going on
here. So let's start off. What was like one of the first supplement brands that you ever bought or you ever tried?
Okay. I don't think these brands even exist anymore because we're going back a long time.
Yeah.
We're going back to when Whey Protein wasn't even around.
Yeah.
Creatine wasn't even around yet. The big thing for me, the first thing I tried was good old-fashioned arginine.
Really?
Way back. And I'm talking
what
like
year is this?
90, I'm talking probably 84, 85.
Really?
Yeah. So that was back when there was a big book called Life Extension that came out. And the writers were Dirk Pearson and Sandy Shaw. Never forget those two names.
Yeah.
And they went on and on about taking like 5 grams or 10 grams of arginine a night.
Yeah.
Was really good for sports performance and growth hormone. So this lovely forehead, everybody, came from taking about 20 or 30 grams a night of arginine and ornithine and tryptophan. In fact, there was a pharmacy, because you couldn't get this stuff in the health food stores back then.
Yeah.
There's a pretty famous pharmacy in downtown Vancouver called Crips Pharmacies, Crips with a K.
Yeah.
And you ask everybody. You ask old guys like Franco Cavallari and Brian Joseph, guys who were bodybuilding, big stars back then as well.
Yeah.
We all went down to Crips Pharmacy to get our 1 kilo bag. We used to pay like $150, $180 for 1 kilo of arginine. But hey, it was working.
So how did you get into opening the store? Like, how did you get into retail? And what year are we talking?
This was after I was asked to leave university.
They kindly said you need to go. Yeah.
Mr. McMahon, we're looking at your grades. You might want to try something else. So I just kind of, I organically just fell into it. I don't know how else to describe it.
Really?
I didn't know that I had this entrepreneurial kick, and I didn't have a job at the time. And I had worked in one of the gyms in East Vancouver.
Yeah.
$4 an hour. $4 an hour I was making. I loved it. And I was driving from the suburbs in the mighty Vancouver hub.
Yeah.
And for $4 an hour, my 77 beat up VW Rabbit.
Yeah.
And as you can tell by the look on my face, that was that best job of my life. I loved that job. Downstairs in a dungeon of a gym, and it stunk, and the showers barely worked.
How old were you? Around?
I was 19.
19. Wow.
I loved that.
It's crazy. It's crazy how things change and evolve, and people have to put things in perspective too, because nowadays supplements are very popular.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking protein, all that. I mean, when I was younger, taking like amino acids, the horse pills. I remember my dad thought I was taking steroids or something. You know, it was
My
crazy.
dad too.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
back in that time frame, it's way different than it is now, right? So anyone who's listening and who's probably under the age of, I don't know, say 35.
Them youngins.
Yeah, them youngins. But yeah, so here we are now. How did you start so PVL, so you went from the store, and then how did PVL start? How did it evolve?
There was a stop along the way.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the brands that doesn't truly exist anymore is called NHF.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of my first industry jobs.
I remember, was it Donovan Bailey or someone
Donovan
sponsored?
Bailey.
They
Yeah, in
sponsored
fact,
him?
in 1997, I got to prevent Donovan Bailey and the rest of the sprint team.
Yeah.
Because the Canadian Track and Field Championships were literally in my backyard in Abbotsford, BC.
Okay.
And my neighbor was the organizer for the event.
Yeah.
And he knew I was just starting PVL, so I got to sponsor the men's 100-meter race, and I'm giving the Olympic champions their gold medals.
No way. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what did you do at NHF?
The owner then, we kind of knew each other from the gym, and he said, "Hey, Jim, come on over. I know you can, sell the stuff." And I just became a road warrior.
So you befriended the guy, you kind of got out there. Did you know much about the product? Did you have to learn a lot? Like,
Well, again, this was before whey protein and before creatine even. So we're going back to when egg white protein powder that mixed like crap was the top end seller. This is back when milk and egg protein was the big thing. Aminos were just coming in.
I can only imagine, like I started in the late 90s, and I remember trying one of the creatine products from one of your competitors, and it was, the smell of it was just horrible. Like, and the taste, I mean, it was not good. Like, so many things have changed.
And you know what, Terry, the one thing I've got to point out to everybody, and this is a really big point for all of us to know, and respect too, I think, is that when you're dealing with any supplement, it's kind of like dealing with any kind of good food as well. You want to know where it comes from.
Yeah.
So, like when I go to buy my chicken or my red meat, I want to know where it's coming from. I'm not super crazy about it, but I want some idea.
Yeah.
So going back to your thing about the creatine.
Yeah.
So when creatine monohydrate was first coming out, oh my Lord, you could get it from about 7 different manufacturers.
Yeah.
And some of them had that smell, some of them had that different color, some of them had a different mesh size, some of them had a different solubility, and there's 2 or 3 different ways those guys could all make the ingredient too. Mm-hmm. So a lot of consumers don't know all that difference, and it's important to just to know that those differences do exist. So we kind of fluked out a little bit. We were buying SKW material.
Yeah.
And SKW, for those of you who don't know, is the big German brand.
Yeah.
And in 1998, that was the big thing. And if you had the German creatine back then, that was probably one of the best ones.
So what was the first product that, okay, let's fast forward a little bit, from NHF and then PVL. So what is, or was it, what was the company name?
It was PVL to start.
And what does PVL stand for, too? Are you gonna tell? Are you gonna tell me? Are we gonna get the truth out of you now? What's PVL stand for?
All of you who are younger than 35 don't have any idea what he's joking about. There was a long-standing rumor. Yes,
there's a rumor.
A rumor what PVL stood for, and we don't talk about that rumor anymore.
Yeah. So
it stands for Pure Vita Labs.
All right.
Let's keep it there.
The company. So what year did you start PVL?
That would have been September of 1996.
And so that day, when you I guess you incorporated, you started the business. What was going through your head as far as like you want to rule the fucking world? Like what was your ambition at that point?
The as simple as I could put it, the ambition was very pure. I loved, again, I'm a consumer first of these products.
Yeah.
Okay. So the quality to me is very important. Mm-hmm. And having been on the inside of some of the supplement companies before then, and also being a retailer, I got curious. And some of the ingredients by some of the other brands were a little suspect at times. So all I wanted to do was be there for people like me, be there for the stores that I already knew. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time as far as, this big corporate strategy or anything.
Yeah.
Today we call it win-win-win. meaning the consumers got to get a win from using our products.
Yeah.
The retailers and distributors, the go-betweens, have got to get a win as well. And then the brand, us, we got to get a fair win as well. So it's a team effort.
Yeah.
So I want to supply good things for the consumers, retailers, distributors, and ourselves. And that's sustainability. And that's where our experience kicks in. It's not that we're old, it's more that we're experienced, right? We've learned so much that many other people just, they don't take them 30 years to learn what we've already learned.
Yeah.
So we're able to move pretty fast because we've had to pivot a lot over the last 20 some odd years.
I mean, I would say it's always calling that audible. You know what I mean? In business, you have this plan. Like I wanted to run a fitness magazine and take over Canada and all that. And then along the way, there's always going to be, I always call it the audible. There's always going to be changes and all that. So in the early days of PVL, you started up the company. I mean,
4 products.
So from the money point of view, because a lot of people are going to want to listen, it's like, how did you start? Like, how does someone end up in this big, beautiful office with all these trophies?
Well, first of all, you need $5 million.
No, like how do you get the money? Like, how does this all start to materialize?
I benefited from a great time.
Yeah.
A time of opportunity where a couple of the brands that were already in existence were kind of falling off a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is when EAS was just ramping up, and some of the people don't even know who EAS is.
Yeah.
EAS was a big brand in the 90s.
One of the biggest brands back at that time. You had Metrics, EAS.
Yeah, Designer Protein.
Designer was
Ultimate
really big.
Orange.
Yeah, Ultimate Orange was like the original pre-workout, right?
So that was a pretty interesting time. So there was this convergence of some of the older brands than those ones.
Yeah.
All the milk and eggers, we'll say. They started to go down, and these other ones were coming up. And there's this great mystery. There was a void of clarity and information going out to consumers and retailers. And I was fortunate enough to understand a lot of the ingredients, some of the science, despite my grades at university. But I could demystify a lot of it for consumers and stores, and I can make clarity out of all these different ingredients. Well, what does this do and what does that do? Like you asked some of the retailers from 20 years ago on the West Coast, I actually had, literally, we called it the cheat sheet, and it was kind of like the Bill Phillips supplement guide, which his thing was that big, his guidebook. I had this little cheat sheet for the stores around here, so they could understand when to take your whey protein and why would you take it. Same thing with creatine and everything else that was coming out at the time.
You strike me as a very hands-on business owner.
You think?
Yeah, a little bit. So you were.
It's a blessing and a curse.
And a curse. Yes. So when you started PVL, what was the first big product, or what was the one that you're like, shit, like this is going to be a game changer or a big one?
I don't remember it as a product. I remember it as a time. Because I'll go back to your previous question. And how I got started was pretty simple. And I'll be fast here. It was like I had 30 grand in the back pocket. Okay, 30 grand you cannot start a supplement company on. But fortunately, I had known a lot of the raw material people from my prior jobs. I knew label creation people. I knew where to get the plastic jugs and everything. It was back then. There was no internet. Like you had to know how to go do stuff. So we put it out.
Yeah, that's a big thing because
there was a thing called Yellow Pages. I had to go find my store list by going to the library.
A little bit. It's being resourceful because nowadays all you have to do is tell Siri, "Hey Siri, I need to find containers, whatever it is." But back then, I mean, getting into ingredients, getting into manufacturing, learning about this.
It was hard.
Well, you must have been really into it. And then what did you do? Did you have friends? Did you have people that you would count on? Like, how did you get into like science type of stuff?
It was a balance of all of it. But I guess if people want to know what the kind of the secret sauce is that you got to know what you want to do and what your passion is, and be 100% committed and 120% authentic about it. Like for example, you get samples of some of the whey protein and you're like, I wouldn't eat this myself, so why would I put it into a jar and sell it to somebody? You think everybody was like that. Trust me, they're not, sadly. But that I already had access to some of that from my previous job, so I consider myself very lucky in that regard. But to put it all together and to get it going, and you're next question was about, when did I kind of think things were going well? When I started out, and as I said, 30 grand is what I had. You can't start a supplement company with that. So I went and actually drew up a 9-page business plan, went to my dad, and went to my mom. And I said, can I get a loan? And they said, oh, no, we'll invest. I said, no, I don't want an investment. I want a loan. And they said, well, how come you don't want an investment? And I said, well, because if I'm going to succeed, it's going to be all on me, and if I'm going to fail, it's all going to be on me anyways. So I'm going to owe you 30 grand one way or the other. So I won't take on an investor, and that's the way it's been. So when they gave me the loan, okay, now we had enough seed money, and as you can probably tell, I have not a bad gift of the gab.
Yeah.
I was able to negotiate really good supply with a lot of the raw material, because they've already met me. They already knew who I was.
Yeah, so you had some skin in the game.
Had
So
some
knew
skin
you
in the
were.
game.
I mean, I think it's important too, because I mean, there's a lot of younger people now who are probably watching or listening, and they just think, hey, I'm going to start a supplement company, I'm just going to jump out and do it. But they don't realize that you have to, I mean, I had experience in the magazine world. I spent about 7-8 years before I started my own thing. You know what I mean? So when you got into the company.
Well, nobody's going to sue you if your product kills somebody, because your product can't kill somebody.
Well, you give bad advice, but yes, definitely.
But if you're
very risky in your
if you're running a meat company, a peanut company, a water company, a supplement company, it doesn't matter. You're selling food.
Yeah.
You better be safe.
Very careful. So what were some of the challenges that you had in the early days? What was something, I mean, what sticks out? Was like
1,000 of them. That's the problem. There was a challenge every freaking hour of every freaking day.
Did you ever have a moment where you're going to throw in the towel? Where you thought, like, fuck, this is way too much for me?
No, not really. I mean, even in when we had that real tough time, and you're aware of it, a few of the industry people are aware, and I won't get into all the details, nobody cares.
Yeah.
But it was over a decade ago. And even then, I never thought about throwing in the towel. It was quite the opposite. It was, I know how to work. I know how to work.
Yeah.
I know how to work.
Work ethic.
And most people, if they have that skill, man, you can overcome a ton of crap. You really can.
Yeah.
It's because I've had to do it a couple times now, right?
Yeah.
I've had to pivot.
Well, absolutely. I think, I think we've all kind of had our successes. You're going to have your failures, you know what I mean? It's how you deal with it. It's how you deal with the problem. I mean, people, especially now with social media, they may think that it's all roses, it's all easy. They don't really see all the behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Especially when you're developing products. Like, you have a new product. One of your latest product is the Protein Brownie.
Yes.
How did this come about?
Oh, just like that.
Just like that.
That was
showed up.
It just showed up.
How long did it take for you to develop this product?
Authentically speaking, once we decided to move away from a bar and get over to the brownie realm, this took about 9 months. But it wasn't us, obviously. We had a really good friend of ours in the industry, and I can't name them, but they already had a very, 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 very successful bar business going.
Okay.
And they make a few brands, and one of their brands is household name.
Yeah.
Again, can't name it. But I came to them with the idea for the brownie, not the other way around. And we've been collaborating intimately. In fact, we may hear from them any minute now, because we're working on another product right now. So I would say all total, it was about 9 months, but authentically we've been working on a food item for 2 years.
Wow, 2 years. And how many different samples do you try? Like, how much do you go through when you're launching? I mean, a product like this, and then but all your products. What's kind of the typical?
Well, the first round of brownies, I was 200 pounds when we got them. I'm now 240. So you go through a lot of samples.
A lot of samples.
No, again, you got to work with quality.
Yeah.
And when you're working with quality, co-packers, suppliers, ingredient people, like our own blending facility, where we're at is there's over 250,000 square feet here of blending and offices and distribution.
Wow, so I didn't realize it was that big.
Yeah, we're the real deal. Like, you want your powders made well.
That's the place.
In fact, we just had the FDA here doing inspections and stuff like that, which you want. Yeah. You want to prove that your quality is there. So same thing with our brownie manufacturer. We picked the best in the business as far as we're concerned. And we didn't cut corners. I could have shaved a nickel here and a dime there. It doesn't work out that way if you want your product to stand the test of time and you want the quality to be there.
Well, I mean, you've seen a lot of supplement companies come and go, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we've seen it. We've been in the industry for obviously like, it's a long time.
Let me go grab one of your original issues.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's when I used to work at Muscle Mag, I every year, we would have, let's say, our top 20 customers, and there was like at least half of them, they would probably not even be in business.
Yep.
They would come out with this big bang, and I mean, in the supplement world, they would throw some money down, start to splash, but then there's no real sustainability. What's the secret? What's the trick as far as what you've been doing? Is the quality part of it? I mean, what innovation?
It's a little bit of all of that, but you always have to have your root metric, and ours is always going to be the authentic sustainability. I remember talking about this with friends of ours who used to work at the biggest dollar brand in our industry.
Yeah.
The Empire, as we call them sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, and I love the brand. Like I used to buy some of their product, and I never want to crap on a competitor like that. Their products were good products. I wanted mine to be just a little bit better, and so I think them and us and a few other brands like Optimum's a really great brand out there too. We have that sustainability factor because we care about the consumer. So when you talk about some of the brands that are no longer around, I'm not saying they didn't care about the consumer, but they weren't grounded enough to understand that the consumer has to want your product consistently. Like I could sell like our 15-pound bag gainer of Mutant mass like here in Canada. I could have priced it way higher. I could have priced it at $120.
Yeah.
But that's not a sustainable retail price. So you have to strike that balance. So when I see brands that come out with big dollars and they're splashing it in magazines, or a guy comes in and sorry, I love McLarens and Lamborghinis, let's be clear about this, but I drive a pickup.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to be able to keep it sustainable. Unless you just want to make $1 million and then get the hell out of Dodge. If that's your brand, that's your brand. Yeah. But consumers need to know what you stand for. And that's why I'm here, so the consumers know what I stand for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sustainable.
So some of the challenges that you had in the past, you said 10 years ago was tough for you and all that.
It wasn't tough for me. Other people decided to lose their frickin' minds and make it tough on me.
It's okay.
Had to sue one of them in court for $900,000. You know who you are.
And I remember the time. I remember talking to you, and I remember. I mean, it's obviously going to be very stressful because you build this business up, and then shit happens, and it's not going the way you want it to go.
I think it's important for all the kids out there to hear that. Shit happens.
Shit happens.
It's how you deal with it that counts.
Absolutely. It's how you...
Because it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's not the cards you get, it's how you play it.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that was one... Actually, a casino dealer told me that. But yeah, so... let's see. I was going to talk about some of the failures. What motivates you? What makes you, and just be honest here, not just like what really truly makes you want to be, or motivates you to do well?
Boy, as simple as I could probably put it, I believe each one of us individually are our own brand, meaning you got your reputation. Am I perfect? Fuck no. Are you perfect? I hope so. But none of us are going to be perfect. Yeah. So we actually have a metric here that perfection is what you want to strive for, but what you really want to land on no less than is darn good enough. Good enough's not good enough. Darn good enough. And that's our metric. So that's what motivates me, is so that I keep saying it the same way because it's authentic. I can't repeat it any other way. The consumers, the retailers, distributors, and then our staff, our staff here, our team. I need everybody to know that they can depend on me. I also remind them that I'm not perfect. Like when I get a consumer who's upset about a product, that's going to happen. When I get a retailer who's mad about something, that's going to happen. When a distributor gets mad at me, that's going to happen. Yeah. I'm still, I hope, really good friends with almost everybody that I've ever met in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that I do love. Like I said, going back in the industry, you compete with a lot of different people, but you're always friendly. I mean, for the most part, right? I mean,
well, I don't view, you know what? I don't really view it as competition, though. I mean,
really,
honestly, I mean, I have a competitive streak. I'm a dirty Irishman. I play hard.
Yeah.
But as long as people in the sandbox of this industry are playing fair,
Yeah.
no problem. Competition's great.
Yeah, I agree.
But, you know, hey, there's my old buddy Bert. He's over at All Max now, right?
Yeah.
Still a good friend.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like that in this industry. Are there a couple that aren't? Of course there are. Every industry's got that.
You ever get into any like real confrontations with anyone? Anything ever?
Oh, you're
happen?
really looking for the dirt
I'm trying
now.
to dig here, Jim. I gotta get something. Come on.
Let's just say
Is there
that
a fist fight at the Arnold? Anything happen?
nothing that anybody can report about. I think the only public thing I probably ever did.
Yeah.
And somebody's probably calling me out on something
Yeah.
that I totally forgot about.
When we get off the podcast,
Yeah.
your phone off some.
No, I kind of refused a handshake, but this person really deserved not to.
Yeah, we don't have to
my
name
hand.
names, or I don't want to
Oh,
name
no.
names, but you've had some beefs
I've
and the issues.
I've had some beefs and issues, and I don't think I created any of them.
No, but that's one thing I admire, because we haven't always seen eye to eye. But I think if you could talk to someone and express yourself,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily going to see eye to eye maybe that day, but if you at least get off your chest, there will be a time where things
Yeah.
can at least.
And in here, like amongst myself and,
Yeah.
and my coworkers and the retailers, especially the ones in Canada that know me the longest, and some of the distributors around the world, especially ones that know me a long time as well.
Yeah.
They know I can fly off the handle. I'm a passionate person. I love what I do most days.
Yeah.
But sometimes that passion comes and it's going to boil over and it's going to be unchallenged and unbridled. And this very boardroom table has been smashed a few times. You go to the far end of that boardroom table and you'll see it.
This is one of the biggest boardroom tables I think I've ever seen, and it's pretty solid. I think you really got
This is BC made, man. This is some BC wood right here.
This probably weighs
this is
like
one
2
piece.
tons or something.
It actually took 9 mutants, and I'm not kidding. There was 9 of us here one night to bring it in.
Bring it in? Oh,
There's actually door handles underneath here, so we could hold it.
This is all because you could smash the table.
Also, I could smash on the table.
So you've worked with a lot of different athletes.
But my point was,
Yeah.
we come back from the smash.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you're going to engage in vigorous debate sometimes because all you're trying to do is get at the root. You want a really good Siri. Stop listening to me right now. You just want to get to the root cause and get to the truth.
Yeah.
So you can get a good decision made and move on. Because there's a million things that got to get moved on with.
How big is the company? How many people do you have working here now?
There's 2 of us in 250,000 square feet.
2 people. A lot
There's
of
only
room.
2 of us. Yeah, we work hard.
A lot of room for activity.
No, there's about 140 of us.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
140. It's incredible. It's a
Well,
lot of-
again, we're one of the rarities. Bragging time now.
Yeah.
We're truly blessed that we were able to get into manufacturing when we did.
Yeah.
And we're blessed to have gotten into international distribution when we did.
Yes.
And I was very blessed and fortunate to start the company at that juncture in time when I did.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of good fortune, but I also believe that hard work and great expectations and exuding not crazy positiveness, because if you're too positive, you're just that far away from being delusional too. So
Okay.
positive's got to be in the right check. And so we've been able to assemble all this, and being our own manufacturer and our own distributor, and me being a consumer with an injured shoulder, and then a store owner, store manager as well,
Yeah.
and then having worked in the industry. So we've been able to come at it from both spots and do it for 20 years
Yeah.
and be a brand of note. We've moved over $1 billion.
Wow.
Not a lot of brands get to say that in this
brand,
industry.
yeah, something to be proud of for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely. Canadian company.
you know virtually every brand on the planet, more or less.
Yeah.
How many brands in their lifetime have moved $1 billion?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's
So we feel blessed and very fortunate that we're able to keep doing this. We've had to pivot a lot, like I said before. But manufacturing, and we're the direct distributor, especially here in Canada, it doesn't get much better than that for the consumer. So we've been able to build this win-win-win very authentically. We don't have to go outside to get our protein powder built. We get to choose
Here.
what's going in. We get to choose.
Yeah, and there's not too many brands that that actually does their own manufacturing. Most companies have it outsourced and all that. So I guess you obviously take it very serious when it comes to quality and the control, right?
Going back to my friends who are butchers, I want to know the cut of meat that I just bought because it's going in this body.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's key.
Yeah.
So you've dealt with different athletes over the years. One of them was Rich Piana when you started off. And how was it working with him back at that time? And how did it actually start? Like, how did that all come about?
Well, Rich had already been in the magazines. Like, Rich back in...
I remember seeing him and stuff like that. I'm like, who is this
we
guy?
actually saw him in the Muscle Mag magazine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Ryan Keller, our director of marketing, he's the one who put it all together. Rich was... Rich was Rich. Yeah. And there's so much out there about Rich, so I don't need to repeat any of it. And I knew him for a short time, and we spoke very intermittently, but it was neat just to hang out with him and a couple of the other guys as well. But we'd meet just down the road here, for example, after we'd do some filming and shooting, and I'd meet up with the guys, and it'd be like 11:30 at night, and we'd be sitting at Earl's having some pizza and some steak or whatever else we could get our hands on at 11:30. And it was just neat to sit because there was a lot of us just sharing some old school stuff, and where kind of we all came from, and and to see how somebody like Rich and the other guys, everybody took a tangent.
Yeah.
And it was just neat. But working with Rich, man, he could attract a crowd. Like it was amazing. And he would pose for everybody, and he was always smiling. And when I saw him, I remember after him and I stopped working together, pretty sure it was at FIBO, and he had his clothing everywhere, and he's posing for pictures and everything. I went up to him and said, "Hey, Rich, man, how you doing?" And then I ran into him again at one of the casinos in Vegas at the Olympia, and him and the whole entourage, all the 5%ers walking down.
There were some freaks, those guys, and they were really different looking, right? I mean,
they're all in. That's awesome, and that's kind of what Mutant stood for. Not just big, and not just freaky. It's that and other things too. Mutant's all about being very inclusive. So if you're rich, if you're that body, hey, love you. If you remember, we had Charity Witt as well. Love you. And then of course everybody else on board too.
How many brands do you have? Because we talk about Mutant, but you have.
This is where you're supposed to turn off the microphone, right? I'm just kidding. I gotta come clean on one of the brands because I don't think everybody knows it's us.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's like an exclusive.
No. I think some people already know it's okay. But we have Mutant. And then we have PVL, Pure Vita Labs. For those of you who remember, there's another brand called Whey Gourmet, spelled W-H-E-Y, still going. And that Whey Gourmet used to run the company. Whey Gourmet was bigger than Mutant.
I remember the ads, and I remember Whey Gourmet being one of those ads that actually pushed the whole taste and the whole feel of flavor and all that, right? Like the whole deliciousness, I guess you would say. It's going back. Whey Gourmet was quite...
Sadly, last week, or the week before, Scott Milne is no longer with us. You mentioned, when we talk about Whey Gourmet, I go back to Scott Milne. And Stephanie Worsfold, because Steph was in the ads. And we had some pooled shots. Scott was in there, Steph was in there, Elaine Goodlad was in one of the ads, and of course the great Sharon Burnett.
Yes,
we had fun in the Whey Gourmet days. It was some pretty crazy times.
I think it looks like you have fun a lot of times. I mean, I've hung out with you and the crew. I think
we do tend to have a little fun.
And I think that's an important thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an intense guy. You seem like an easygoing guy, but obviously you're a fun guy. But I could see that side of being driven and making things happen. And I also have to give you a lot of credit because in the industry, it's not one person. You said it's a team of people. You have a lot of people here, but you certainly
a lot of people before the current crew as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've had so many different people that have come through the magazine and worked with me at a time and put me on different, on a map in a certain time and place. Now, I think in the industry, you've got a pretty powerful team. You've got some great marketing. I mean, you've got obviously some innovation. I'm looking at this massive bag here. It's got 2 flavors in this thing? What is this?
Shameless plug time. Thanks, Terry.
We'll talk a little bit about the products. We have to really.
There we go.
So what is the deal? What is the deal with this bag?
Well, this is a dual chamber bag. It's 2 chambers.
2 flavors,
So you're able to have, there's a seam that runs down the middle on the inside. So you've got one flavor on one side and another flavor on the other side.
That's really cool.
In the whey protein category, it's been pretty boring as far as innovation goes. And again, from reputation and just the sheer length of time we've been doing things, this particular bag was presented to us.
Yeah.
I think almost before any other brand was presented to,
Yeah.
and including the big two billion brands.
Yeah.
We jumped on it. So this took about a year and a half to get it to this point. And in fact, it was just up for quite a serious, nice packaging award. Sadly, we lost out to this little brand called Coors.
Coors beat you.
Yeah, they came out with a nice new package in the States.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I mean, obviously, I look at so many different brands. I look for innovation. You're not always going to get it in necessarily the product side of it, but it could be the packaging and all that. And,
but it's been interesting launching this within the Mutant brand. Mm-hmm. The Mutant already has so much distribution going on with Mutant Whey, Mutant Mass, and IsoSearch, and all those products. But when you innovate with new packaging, it's an interesting response we're seeing. So some people are really cool with this. They go, "Oh man, that's awesome!" Yeah. And off it goes the shelf, and people enjoy it. There's different ways to enjoy this. Like, okay, consumer talking here again.
Yeah.
When I was going through Mutant Mass back in the day, a lot, 15 pounds. You know, it's a lot of Mutant Mass to go through.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're 3/4 down the bag, and you're like, "Oh, I can't wait to get to the next flavor when I go back and buy some more."
Yeah.
So having two different flavors in one bag, actually, I am finding, especially with the Whey, has actually been like a godsend for me, and a lot of consumers like that, because all right, screw this. I don't want to have the same flavor today. I'm gonna have the other flavor.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. I mean, it's a great concept, and it's something, like you said, you jumped on it early.
Jumped on it right away.
We'll see what happens. So you have some other flavors of the brownie coming out? Or is this, did I see that correctly, or am I just seeing the same?
Sorry, who are you again? Who do you think you are?
Investigative reporter right here. What do we have, Jim?
We don't have the phone call yet. we actually did receive a package today. After we turn this off, we're actually doing a taste test.
All right.
Yes.
Cool.
So we can't tell you.
We can't say
yet.
But people stay tuned to Inside Fitness. Hopefully we can release some more stuff as it goes out.
We plan on it.
Absolutely.
As you know, we're having fun with the brownie. It's been a really cool event.
Yeah, I've been watching you guys on social media. I've seen you've obviously stepped it up quite a bit. And why is that? Why have you decided now? And can I ask you how old you are?
I am 22.
22. You just turned 22.
Times a couple of times.
Yeah, is it weird? Let's say I gotta go with 50.
Yes.
50. In your 50s.
Because if I'm in university in 1984, if you've been paying attention.
Some people do the math. Is social media, is it weird for you? Is it cool? What's your take on it?
Honestly, I guess now that I can say this, because I think I've earned the right, I've been pretty good at being a speaker and a showman, if you will, behind the scenes. Yeah. And I think now through social media, whether it's Instagram, I'll include LinkedIn and TikTok and things like that. I'm curious to see what I can pull off. I'll be blunt with people.
Yeah.
We've been great at manufacturing. We've been great at distribution. We've been great at flavoring. We've been great at innovations. We're really good at what a lot of other people can't do. All right, now, what's the next wave? Well, how do we add to what we're doing? Okay, social media is going to be part of it. There's no question. You asked me before we sat down.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah.
Which number podcast is this that I've ever done?
Yeah.
And you're the first one I've ever done a podcast with.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So when my podcast comes up,
you'll
you'll be one of the first.
Oh, perfect. I can't wait. You can
There's a little tidbit. Because you know what? I'm sitting on some juicy gems, folks.
Oh, yeah. I know you definitely have some stories.
It's okay, friends. Don't worry. Your stories are safe with me. Don't worry. We know which friends we're talking about,
some
too.
People are getting worried. They're like, oh, yeah, what's Jim up to?
And that guy I had to sue? Don't worry. I'm not mentioning your name either.
Yeah, it's funny. When I started doing, like I said, the podcast, I didn't really want to do it. I was just like, I like to talk. Yeah. But I'm like, maybe I'll say something stupid or whatever it is. And I said, fuck it. I'm just going to jump into it. And I really... The one thing that I've really been enjoying is learning from people that I know. It's like I've known you for a while, I didn't know certain things, and I've been interviewing some people, and it's really cool. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be the start of something. I mean, for me personally, I enjoy it. And I also think it's different. I mean, the magazine, it is what it is. We have two-dimensional here, but to actually talk to the people behind the brands, learn more about it, so people actually know what they're buying. I mean, I think that's a very key thing. So, and there we go.
You mean this magazine?
There you go. Perfect. Look at that. ISO gold. So we were talking about the brands. You have, I lost track because we said.
I tend to do that to people too.
It happens with PBL, Whey Gourmet, Mutant.
North Coast Naturals is another brand.
Yeah.
North Coast Naturals has been out there for a while. However, I purposely had to wait a couple of years before I could hire a brand manager for that particular brand. So we waited for one of the best people in the industry to become available, and we hired him, and he moved from Ontario and he moved to BC, and he's running the brand for us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's doing already very well. It's launching in America as well.
Yeah.
In fact, we just talked with one of our distributors in Mexico. They're looking at it.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking with the guys in Australia and New Zealand as well. So they're looking at it as well finally.
How many countries are you in?
I've lost count, and it's not because it keeps on growing. We did really well when we launched Mutant Mass a few years back. So we're in about 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
100 countries. Wow. That's.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to.
I don't want to mislead everybody. Like, we don't ship directly to all 100. Some of our distributors, obviously, in certain regions, they handle multiple countries. So I don't want to lie to people.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a lot of countries. I mean, I've had the privilege to go overseas and go to like FIBO and all that, and I remember seeing Mutant. I remember going to the booth, and I think it was Campbell was there, and I couldn't believe the lineup of people. And if I remember correctly, at this show in FIBO, and this has got to go back a little while, you guys sold absolutely everything, including like the weight set at the booth.
Yes.
Like, I remember that. I'm like, wow, like this is insane.
It was the FIBO booth for the Mutant Nation, the Mutant family, and that FIBO booth can just get out of control sometimes.
Yeah. There's some serious bands.
I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And even I hadn't really quite seen anything like that. And we had some local guys working with us. We've had the same number of guys. Some of the same guys have been working with us at the FIBO booth for a long time now.
Yeah, like I said, you have a great team. You've hired a lot of people. You obviously have put together that all-star.
The reason why we came out with that Mutant supersized bench towel is because we were all sweating so much at the FIBO booth, just breaking down boxes and moving stuff like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are workers. That's one thing.
We even had the big V there one year. Don't forget Val.
Oh, yes.
Val. You were selling lots, bro.
You know what? And some of the biggest promotion you ever got was because of Valera. And I joke around with Valera, but the Mutant shirt got seen by quite a few people at one point.
I don't want to know. Was it in a building that has a 7th floor?
No.
Okay, we won't go there. Sorry.
Definitely
Private story.
There, yeah.
But tune into the Mutant CEO podcast. You might hear about some of these
Well, I'm
stories.
definitely going to tune into your podcast.
We're not saying when it's coming, though.
That's going to be the mystery.
Yes.
So what's next for you? What's next? What do you got in the pipeline?
Oh, well, can't tell all of our friends that, but we always have something in the pipeline. Like immediately, we have our new EAA product is coming out. Mm-hmm. I have to just tell everybody, it's not a Me Too EAA product. Okay. And we gave it a cute name. We're proud of the name. We came up with it out of sheer consultation with ourselves. No alcohol was involved when we came up with the name. But we spelt our EAAs Geaar, gear.
Gear.
So get ready to gear up, everybody. And it is super dosed, I kid you not. So when we try to build products, we try to do something that very few others will do. Mm-hmm. So our product has got more leucine loaded in it than any other EAA that we've seen yet. Yeah. So we put in not just like 1 gram or 2 grams of leucine, there's actually 4 grams in ours. Wow. And then of course we stack all of our amino products with the patented absorption enhancer bioperin. Uh-huh. And we've got the studies. One of them was done at Baylor University, and it shows that your blood level of aminos go up 25, with 32% on one of the other studies, but 25% higher when you take it with the bioperin. Mm-hmm. So as a formulator and as a consumer, why wouldn't I take an amino product that has the bioperin in it? So that's how we formulate too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like it. I mean, it's really great. Obviously, you guys have been innovating and doing a lot of cool things. We're gonna wrap up the podcast.
No,
Jim. I know. We could go. I only have so much film here, digitally.
Wow.
But
digital film. Is there such a thing?
Digital. Yeah, I guess so. We call it film.
You want to go get me the left-handed axe?
Is there anything else that we want to wrap up? Anything you wanted to say to people where they can find you on social media? What do we got here?
No, we don't want to talk about anything else.
No, not that. What do we got here?
Nothing else at all.
This is awesome.
Okay, this is from the home brand. This is PVL.
PBL.
So Pure Vital Labs. Doesn't stand for anything else. And,
Yeah.
and if Bert Niebergall tells you it stands for something else, don't believe it.
It's a lie.
It's a lie, Bert.
So this product is just came out.
Well, this is the new and improved.
New improved, yeah.
Yeah, we've had ISO Gold out in the market for over a decade. And again, we wanted to do something innovative in whey protein. So with our isolate, we decided we all want to be a little healthier too while we're already taking our whey protein. And probiotics will definitely help with gut health and everything. And we stumbled upon this particular one. It's shelf stable. And it's not the only one that's shelf stable, but this is the only one that's got 2-year, not 1 year, 2-year shelf stability test done on it. Wow. And it's also got more studies done on it, and they are being published as we speak, coming out about sports performance as well. So it's not just a gut-friendly probiotic for gut health.
Yeah.
It's also for performance, recovery, and then
Very
you
cool.
add in the shelf stability, and we're not charging any extra for it. And it's also in here at the full tested dose.
Oh, wow.
In 1 scoop, not 2 scoops, one
One
scoop.
scoop. Excellent. I mean, there's so many things that we can get into from here, obviously, and maybe we'll do another podcast and get more into the product side of it. But I really
Only if you make me.
I will make you.
I know you will.
Jim, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, bro.
All right.
We've known each other a long time.
Long time. Yeah, thanks.
Love doing this. Thanks, guys.